we'll call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation following. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials. Grant them the wisdom to know and the courage to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, please.
Goodar.
Here.
Green.
Here.
Before.
Here.
Nastrovich.
Here.
Ricks.
Here.
Schultz.
Here.
Yar.
Here.
Good to see everybody here tonight. Approval of minutes for the City Council meeting of October 6th would be in order.
So moved. Support.
What's been made and supported? Is there any discussion on the minutes? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion does pass. Move on to audience comments and any non-agenda items. If anybody would like to address the City Council, now would be the time to do that. We simply ask you to come up, state your name and your address to the clerk. We will move on. Adoption of agenda, Mr. City Manager, any changes?
No changes.
City Council, any changes? No. Motion to accept the agenda as presented would be in order.
So moved. Support.
Motion been made and supported. Is there any discussion? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Is there any, there is no discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We move on to items for consideration. Tonight we have 5. The first one being consideration of request to keep chickens at 69894 BB Street for Olivia Chambers. Mr. City Manager.
Council is scheduled to consider a request from Olivia Chambers to keep 6 egg-laying chickens on her property at 69894 BB Street. As you may recall, this item was considered and denied by the City Council on August 18th. However, during the meeting, it was stated that if the applicant worked with the neighbors and worked on a plan to develop screening, that they could come back to council for reconsideration. The city manager mailed a letter to the property owner, who then came up with a new plan, and that is in your packet. And I also did forward an email to the 2 residents that were against the chickens on Friday. I've not heard back from them.
Very good. Would you like to address council?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes.
Okay. Name and address for the record.
Olivia Chambers, 69894 BB Street, Richmond, Michigan, 48062. So I'm here to ask permission to keep 6 Isa Brown chickens on the property. We have turned the coop so it's less visible from the road. We're also going to plant Rosa Sharons, which the neighbor said would be fine. The one neighbor said, I know Tim Ricks, it's fine, just tell him, and I'm like, okay. I thought it was ironic because her husband was the one that said they didn't want the chickens there, but they were fine with it, and the ones across the street as well. Kitty, and I spoke with Kitty and her husband, and I explained to them that I did want to have chickens, but I didn't want to have them at anybody else's cost. So whatever I had to do to make sure that it was fair for everybody, that also we're just gonna have, having to deal with the chickens. So
Okay.
I'll do whatever it takes.
Very good. Very good. Council, is there a motion?
I move to approve the petition from Olivia Chambers to keep up to 6 Isa Brown chickens on the property, subject to the following conditions. The 6 chickens allowed shall be female Isa Brown chickens, no roosters allowed. The applicant is granted a 1-year trial period, at the end of which applicant will need to come back before council for approval to keep the chickens. The applicant shall be limited to a 20-foot by 10-foot outdoor pen area that shall be enclosed by a maximum 4-foot tall chain link fence. The fence shall have proper permits pulled to ensure it's correctly installed. The applicant shall plant a hedgerow of rows of Sharon shrubs adjacent to the chicken pen to create a visual buffer.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Well, Ms. Chambers is standing in front of us. Are there any questions for her? How tall are the hedgerow going to be starting out?
They're gonna be pretty big. That's why we decided to go with the Rose of Sharon's, because they start off bigger. I'm gonna get them from somebody rather than a bush. That's gonna take many years to build.
Because the whole idea was to
Hide the, yep,
visually hide.
yep,
Good,
yep.
good.
Actually,
Pardon me?
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Ms. Chambers, we had outlined in my motion various requirements to do this.
Okay.
And I believe administration has talked to you about our, potential expectations that we'd like to see.
Yes,
These 4 items are those things that you're gonna be able to do?
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else?
So with the boundary plants, is that gonna happen? I mean, it's getting close to the end of, I don't know if you can plant something now, or if it would be.
Yes, you can.
Oh, you
Yes,
can.
you can. Yep,
Actually,
it's a
now's the
perennial.
best time
That
to
was the best
plant.
time, okay. Good.
Anything else?
And then just one more thing, we did get a couple of emails back in August against it, but it sounds like Ms. Chambers talked to them and they're okay now, is that?
And
Yeah.
the city manager had emailed them
Emailed them,
also Friday and received nothing back from them.
Okay. So you did talk to them and they're
I
okay
did.
now?
Their main concern was for me to keep up the yard better, and so I edged the sidewalks. I had a fence taken out. I've had bushes taken out. I've had wood chopped. So I've, done my best to. And I understand where they're coming from. I didn't understand that until they pointed out because, I just have a different perspective. So
Good.
I will keep the yard nice.
Looks good.
One more question.
Mhm.
So what happens in the wintertime with the chickens?
I'm gonna have red lights. I also, I just currently got a side job at Family Farm Home, so they're going to, Phil over there is gonna help me with some lighting and, their red lights.
Okay.
Yeah,
So inside that,
they'll be warm, I promise. They'll be outside.
And those will be obscured from the visual.
Absolutely, yep,
Good, good,
yep.
good. Okay, anything else? Any audience participation on this item? Back to the council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I actually stopped before the council meeting, spoke to both the neighbors that had sent emails with concerns. And Ms. Chambers echoes, what they did say. They seemed generally concerned with the upkeep of the properties. And it was nice, they were appreciative that Ms. Chambers came over and talked to them, and which I think we like to see, is neighbors work with neighbors and try to come up with a resolution. So there was that concern about upkeep, which when I looked at the property, it looks like that's occurred. There's been improvements made. And I think that also and we discussed some of the things that the city had pointed out was this trial period. And I think both individuals seemed comfortable with the idea of a trial period that they could come back in a year if things weren't working out and these expectations weren't. One resident did, however, express a concern with a general concern with the idea of chickens in the city. But I explained to them that we've been doing this on a case-by-case basis, and we are working our way through, how this works in our community.
Very good. Anything else?
I just would like to further comment what he just said about the general concern of the chickens in the city. And from talking to folks in my neighborhood, most people seem okay with it, but they're like not next door to me. And I understand, and I've talked to some real estate agents about when people come and view their homes, it's not necessarily that a home property value declines, it's that their home becomes less appealing to be sold. When somebody, a potential home buyer would come and sees chicken next door, they kind of freak out a little bit, is what he has experienced in his business. And again, with the setting, what to become future chickens in the city, we have the ordinance. I wasn't here. I know there's been history with the ordinance, why it was created in the first place. So if anybody can enlighten me on that, who was here, that'd be great. But I imagine because we are a city and we have a rural surrounding community, we did have to have a dividing line. And I do know that there are a lot of viable resources for organic chickens within a 5-minute drive here as well. So it's not out of that it's not available.
I will invite you after the meeting,
Okay.
because I've been here long enough to remember why we don't have farm animals in town any longer. But that was a different time also, so.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Counselor Green reminded me too. I also called a real estate agent. From their perspective, they said the upkeep was the key to the whole thing, and they hadn't heard a lot of. So I mean, obviously, there's different perspectives. Realtor that Counselor Green talked to had a concern. Realtor, but did just want to point out that I also called a realtor to get their viewpoint, and it seemed their focus was the upkeep was the major concern from their viewpoint.
Okay, anything else?
Then the last major point, I know we've always talked about in the past, was the wildlife coming in that chickens attract. So that's my only concern. It's more towards the center of the city, the pets in the area, those type of things. So I know it's a 1-year trial, so that's a big concern that, to keep an eye on, pets in the area and wildlife and that type of things that
Okay.
the chickens do attract. So, and I know they, out in the country, they have to build their coops a special way to keep the coyotes and those type of animals from going underneath the pens. So those are things that have been discussed in the past, so.
Okay.
Anything else? Anybody, come on.
Will we be getting that in writing then?
Pardon me?
Will we be getting this in writing?
Yes, you will. You'll
Okay.
receive the motion
I
in
can
writing
forward
from the
Copy of the
administration,
email to your,
Okay.
the minutes to your email.
Okay.
if it passes.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. If there's nothing else, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Against?
Nay.
1 nay, motion passes. Keep it up nice. Keep up the good work on the house,
Thank you.
okay?
So do I come back in a year, or are you gonna wait for?
Yes, what we did in the past is 1 year after that, we'll put it back on the agenda. We'll give you notice
Okay.
that it's going back on the agenda.
Okay,
And we'll
perfect.
kind of follow the same protocol we did the first time it was on the agenda, which is we will notify the adjoining properties.
Okay,
Which I think in
perfect.
your case is 7.
7, yep.
So-
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 2, consideration of second reading and adoption of ordinance 156-16, wind energy ordinance. Mr. City Manager.
Council is scheduled to give second reading and adopt ordinance 156-16, which will create a wind energy ordinance. Currently, the zoning ordinance does not address wind energy turbines, and therefore the city does not have an established method to review such applications if or when they come in. As we discussed during the introduction and first reading, this discussion began at the Planning Commission. We did hold a public hearing on this ordinance, and council has given it introduction and first reading at last council meeting.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion before discussion?
I'll make a motion to give second reading and adopt ordinance 156-16, which amends Article 16 reserved to create a wind energy ordinance for the city of Richmond.
Support.
What's been made and supported? Is there any discussion? Second reading. Did we receive anything after the first reading from the public?
We did not, no.
Okay.
And
I mean, it's such an interesting read. It's just,
It's, well,
It blew me away.
I spent my whole Friday night reading it.
we love to provide you with very interesting reading.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yeah. Yeah. Any audience participation on this item? Back
Yes,
to
and I
the-
would,
Back to the table?
sorry, would let council know, there was an article in the paper, so I think if people were interested, they would have seen that too.
All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion does pass. Item number 3, consideration of special event request for the Goodfellow newspaper sale by the Richmond Lions Club. Mr. City Manager?
Council is scheduled to approve the request from the Lions Club for their annual Goodfellow paper sale on Friday, December 5th and Saturday, December 6th. We would ask that council limit them on Friday to not be in the intersection of Main and Division from 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. Due to school. This is the first such request that we've handled since we changed the ordinance back in September. The Lions Club were happy to comply with the additional information requested, and when I explained to them why in the previous request, they actually were appreciative of the fact that it kind of appeared that we were trying to protect our local nonprofits.
Very good. Is there a motion before discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the request received from the Richmond's Lions Club to conduct their Goodfellow paper sale at the intersections of Main and Division and County Line Road, St. Clair Highway on Friday, December 5th and Saturday, December 6th, 2014, from dawn till dusk. Further, the Lions Club agrees that the volunteers will wear fluorescent vests and utilize traffic cones, that the Lions Club agree not to meet in the Main and Division intersection on Friday, December 5th from 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., and further, that the Lions agree to sign a liability waiver.
Support.
What's been made and supported? Is there any discussion? Does council need to have,
All of this,
if the administration has this in hand, does I would, for one council person, don't need all this information.
I agree. I think the application would be sufficient and followed by their initial letter.
Yeah, I don't see it necessary, John, so long as you have it.
and I can put in the background brief on file at City
Yeah.
Hall, should you want
Yeah,
to.
you save a lot of paperwork.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Mayor? On the first application, I'd like to see it repetitive, if we haven't seen them before, I would like to.
Then why don't you get with the city
I
manager
just
and
think
get
that I
that?
can-
I don't think all the council need, does
Okay,
council
I-
need it?
No.
No. Well, you just go
That's
ahead and get it
fine.
from city manager.
Like I said, I can put in the background brief that it's on file with the clerk's office, come and look at it.
Anything else?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I do appreciate for the first time that since we've passed the new policy, if you will, to see all this and see exactly what has to be given. But yeah, I'm in agreement that I don't think we need to get all of this in the future. The other question I have is, since we only have a few organizations that do this, can we proactively let them know so that not at the last minute they're
Right,
scrambling trying to find all this?
Karen and I had started to talk about that,
Yeah.
because this was a little rocky. They actually submitted this a
Yeah.
while ago, and they had a little problem with their paperwork. They'd loaned it to another club to kind of copy it and fill out.
Their
so-
original paperwork.
Yeah. And so I had to get faxed back to Richmond, but we worked it out. They were happy to, like I said. They worked with us. But I think the other groups are really the VFW and KFC, and I think that pretty much cover 99% of our group, so we can certainly send them a letter.
Okay,
Yep.
great, thank you.
Anything else? Any audience comments? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion passes. Item number 4 is consideration bid award street repairs contract. Mr. City Manager?
City Council is scheduled to consider awarding the fall 2014 street repairs contract over the course of summer, obviously as DPW does water main repairs, manhole rehabilitation, and that type of work. We have a need for a patching contract. We took proposals or bids on that last week. Peak Asphalt is the low bidder, and they have also done patching work for us before in '03, '04, '05, and '12.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion before discussion?
I'll make a motion to award the street repair contract 2014-SR-2 in the amount of $14,200 to Peak Asphalt Incorporated with the expense charge to appropriate line items and fund.
Second,
What's been made and second? Discussion. Jim? Would you like to come up, please? Question on Main Street. I didn't get a chance to look at the address. 68071 Main Street. Does that happen to be in front of the auditorium? The old Aud on Main Street?
There's 2 locations on Main Street. Is that
think
that sounds
that's
correct? Yeah.
Okay, because it's sunk.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
just.
it's pretty bad.
Just last week, we poured
Okay.
the concrete base, and then we temporarily patched it with.
Okay, I had a few people complain about it. I don't hit it when I go through. It must be closer to the curb line.
Yeah, and I think the temporary patch that we just did late last week actually has fixed the main complaint, but it still needs
Okay.
to get
Okay,
permanently
good,
fixed, yeah.
good. Any other discussion? Any audience participation on this item? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion passes. See, now that you've been here for a while, we don't harass you anymore. The last item for consideration is consideration approving fire contracts. Mr. City Manager?
Council is scheduled to consider approving the City of Richmond's fire contracts with the three surrounding townships, Casco, Columbus, and Richmond townships. One of the township supervisors reminded me that we had not signed our contracts. We actually had worked this out back in 2003. Then we discussed it at a budget workshop, kind of the outline of how we're handling it and handling the kind of period of time where we started running some medicals out in the townships. Last year, we implemented that. It worked fine. I just never, unfortunately, through my fault, didn't bring it to the table. This contract language and the way we handle the budget computation hasn't changed for many years. And so it's pretty much routine. There probably will be a need, once these contracts are expired, to have a more in-depth discussion with the townships, especially in regards to our equipment fund.
Very good. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the 2012-2015 fire contracts with Casco, Columbus, and Richmond Townships, and authorize the mayor to sign it.
Support.
Motion made and supported. Discussion? Any audience participation on this item? Back to the table. Being that, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion does pass. We move on to city manager's comments, sir.
I did place a letter, a revised letter, for your quarterly roundtable in your mailboxes tonight. There was a number wrong in the original letter that I received from the Recreation Board, I think regarding the utilities, and there may have been one other change. So please grab that letter for tomorrow night's meeting or leave it in your mailbox so that you'll have it here tomorrow. Also, last week, I forgot to mention in the weekly update, we did have the pre-construction meeting over at the police post with Cedrone Associates. They had everything ready. They were still waiting on the bonds. They were in, but they hadn't been delivered to their office yet. And so hopefully that'll get taken care of this week and we can get all the contracts signed. If all of that goes according to plan, they may even start to begin work next week.
Good.
Would be the earliest, and they're ready to go.
So we'll be ready by Christmas then?
That's what I'm thinking.
Christmas 15?
I know. Christmas 15, I can hit that.
No. Okay, moving on to council comments. Michael?
I'd just like to thank the Chambers family for coming out today and providing an update on their property and working with the city to ensure that they have a nice situation over there to have the chickens in place. And then also look forward to tomorrow coming for a quarterly workshop to discuss a lot of good things.
A lot of good things. Jeffrey?
Nothing more to add.
Just on the sports side of it, always trying to get everybody updated. The football team's going to be in the playoffs, and that'll be Halloween night. As of right now, if everything goes right, this Friday night, if we win, we'll have home field advantage.
Is it Lutheran North?
Lutheran North.
It is.
So it's homecoming night this Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and then Halloween.
Parade
night.
at 5 o'clock
Yes.
on Main Street
Yep.
this Friday.
And then hopefully the following week we'll be home, and that'll be determined on Sunday. And the fire department's allowed us to have our playoff dinner for the team up top, so
Very
they've
good.
done the past,
Mhm.
I think, 5 or 6 years or so.
Yeah. You're good.
And Dennis, I just want to make sure I heard you right. If they win Friday, the first playoff game will be home on Halloween night.
Yes.
All right, I need
Yep. And that, the way that things are playing out in the state, that seems a very strong possibility.
Yeah. Very good. Jeffrey?
This is our last aired meeting before Election Day, so reminded people to get out and vote.
Absolutely, yeah. Is that right? Is this the last meeting before?
Yeah, it's the night before, so that meeting won't actually be here.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Jamie?
I concur with everything said.
Very good. Jim?
Just that we have the applications ready now for the Lady Christmas Parade for December 5th. We get it emailed, right?
Yes, yep, and I believe it's on our website under the Recreation Department, and they can stop in over at the rec and get it here.
Or they can contact me.
Yep.
And my number is 586-531-4283. And this will be my last year of chairing this.
Of
so-
course, yes.
No, this is my last year.
No, we understand. Yeah.
Seriously, this is.
I know, yeah, you keep on saying. St. Clair is having theirs in November, like the last week in November. I wonder if we couldn't send that over to their Parks and Recreation Department to let them know that we have one after theirs. Some of those people might want to come over, Jimmy, especially since this is your last one.
Right.
Yeah.
And our Armada's is the Saturday after ours, and there's a contact number on our application to get a hold of Sarah in our Armada that handles that one, so. And she also did the same thing on theirs, so we can, because there's, people don't realize how much work goes in on putting the lights on and coming up with different ideas, and we've been very fortunate. I've been very fortunate. I've had people with me since I've taken this over, and every year they seem to outdo themselves, and it's getting really nice, so.
It is nice. It's a nice parade. You're doing a wonderful job, and we'll be happy to see you next December, too.
That's not gonna happen, Mr. Mayor.
Speaking of the calendar, we've got today is the 20th of October. Tomorrow, council will have its roundtable meeting right here at City Hall, starting at 5:30. The TIFA meeting has been canceled for the 22nd. Halloween will be celebrated in Richmond on the 31st from 6 to 8 o'clock. I assume the fire whistle will blow for the start,
yes.
and will blow for the end. Meanwhile, Treats in the Streets is going on, sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce. Different businesses are involved. That will be in our North Municipal Parking Lot, starting at 5 o'clock on Halloween night. We'll close at 7. It takes us into November, and our next regular scheduled meeting will be November 3rd. And as mentioned, on the 4th is our general election. That will be from 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. at the Senior Center on Festival Drive for both precincts in the city of Richmond. That's about it. Is there anything else we need to add to the calendar? I think so. The scarecrows look nice. It's a nice touch all up and down Main Street. Hopefully that will continue to expand. And Ice Fest, or whatever it's going to be, Winterfest, will be February, I believe it's February 7th is the Saturday.
I think you're right, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So people can start planning. I think the Chamber's come up with some new ideas, different ways of doing things on their end. Good old days, we'll be running the snowmobile drag races over at the field there on the 7th. And it's kind of a fun time. And our new co-chairman of the
Never agreed to that.
of the drag races. Well, yes, you did, kind of like.
It's my last year.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done that before. Yeah. Okay. Is there any other business of the city council this evening? Being that, motion to adjourn would be in order.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. There is no discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Thanks for being with us.